Start transmission. 4, 3, 2, 1. Broadcasting to you live from the Static Clan compound, you are now listening to the Jaysin Static Experience, a podcast from an award-winning nobody, noted raconteur, Renaissance man, a man with a sailor's mouth, but he has never sailed, and who likes to talk about a cornucopia of topics. This podcast is brought to you by www.jaysinstatic.com, a place filled with all your pop culture antiques and collectible needs. And now your host, the one and only Jaysin Static. Welcome back, everybody. Today I got a fucking treat for you guys. I promise you this. You guys, for years now, have heard me talk about people that introduced me to pro wrestling. And I've mentioned their names. Of people who got me into the art of professional wrestling, who were the essential people that got me and pushed me into that point of becoming Jaysin Static. So without a lot of these people, you guys, Jaysin Static wouldn't exist. So without further ado, you guys have heard me talk about them on my YouTube show, on my YouTube channel, and through videos and whatnot. This is none other than the one and only Shaft. Shaft, my brother from another mother. How are you doing, my friend?
Well, first of all, it's an honor to be on the Jaysin Static Experience because, hey, we met, we connect, we did that, and we done that.
Yes, we did.
And, it's an honor, and like I said, it's a pleasure. Me, myself, I came up to you, and I'm just going to start it whereas I was working for your grandfather's company.
Yes, sir, you were.
And I just walked up to you, say, hey, how you doing? I told you my real name and everything, and you said that who you were. I said, oh, okay, and we just clicked and everything, and I had told you that I was doing professional wrestling and everything. You came down to the historic South Broadway Athletic Club and watched several matches.
Yeah, we did.
And do you want to get into it?
Oh man, it's pretty much like he said, guys. He was working at a business that my grandfather owned in St. Louis, Missouri. And we talked for maybe a couple of months before I actually went down to the athletic club and started watching shows. And you kind of, I talked to you. I mean, we worked on a couple of machines together, and I talked about my desires when I was a kid about becoming a pro wrestler and whatnot. And, you kind of, I'd say for at least maybe 5-6 months, about 3-4 months, we talked, and you were like, well, come on down, come down, watch the show, hang out, And, I came down and watched the shows, and I ended up watching the shows for a whole entire year before I actually jumped into the training thing. But it wasn't without Shaft's pushing and nudging and constant nagging and complaining about me getting into the process. It was one thing I always remembered you saying is, I'm gonna say like you told me, motherfucker, you've been talking about this shit forever. You tell me how you want to do it, but you don't ever want to do it. You just keep talking about it. There ain't nothing to do it but to do it, my man.
And that's all, and that's exactly, and just to let everybody know that I'm very, very professional. I respect everybody, and I just want to let everybody know I have a podcast show called Outside the Ring, STL, and I don't take away from other people's shows. They run their shows the way they want to run it. But, yes, I had told them that and everything. But, when I introduced him the late great
Tony Costa.
Tony
Rest in peace, brother.
And first thing okay, well, you sure you want to do it? Okay, come down to the gym. Just come, with some sweats. Don't worry about pants or nothing, and, you came down and, you busted your butt and everything. And, you had the desire and you showed me the desire. And, it was, help train, and then other wrestlers help train and everything. So everybody was helping in everybody's career down there.
Yeah.
And, we wrestled, and I'm sorry to say I had to put it on you and everything.
Yeah.
You had your dad, your mom, your aunt, and everything. And, your Aunt Kelly is a sweetheart, know, and I told her when we was going to wrestle, I'm going to say, you're going to hate me, but I'm going to have to put it on you.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. And a lot of the people on the show that all, the fans that follow me and listen to my shows and stuff, they've always heard me talk about how much of a grinder I was in the gym and when I worked out, and I was always the first there and the last to leave. And now I actually have proof of that claim by having you actually on the show today. So finally after a year and a half, 2 years of me doing the show, let's set the record straight. Did I not grind like hell? The first to leave or the first to enter and the last to leave almost every day of the week?
Well, on the first, yours truly was there because I had to open up the gym for you to be the first to get in.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah.
But,
okay.
One thing I can say about Jaysin Static, he was a hard worker. He always listened, and he would try stuff that I wouldn't try. So show you how crazy he is.
Yeah.
But, he got in there and busted his butt.
Yeah, I mean, I was
time in and time out.
Yeah.
And even when I would leave, he would still be there, with a couple of guys busting their butt,
And there was even times where I was just there bumping myself.
And his gimmick, was a hell of a gimmick.
It went through many versions.
And the only thing and I'm on this show, the only thing that I didn't like was that damn spiked hair.
The spiked hair was a classic, man. I remember when I first cut my mohawk off, and people got mad, man. They were like, "Why did you do that?" Hell, I think even Tony got mad about it. He didn't get mad, but he was just like, "Why'd you do that for? That was your bread and butter, man."
He had so much of that damn hairspray in there, and it was so hard. I was scared to tie up and put him in the headlock because I didn't want to get poked in the eye.
Yeah.
And he had a good career and everything, and he just worked and worked. He did something in the business. Jaysin Static did something in the business that I didn't do a lot of. I just wrestled in parts of Missouri and parts of Illinois, whereas that he was going to Tennessee and other places like that. That was his motivation. That was his drive. That was his momentum. But when I got into business, I was 45 years old.
Mm-hmm. You started late.
I wasn't worried about traveling all over to wrestle. I was fine with Missouri and Illinois, and I met a lot of people. He met a lot of people in Missouri, Illinois, and in Tennessee and other places that he was going with other wrestlers to do shows. So he pretty much did what he wanted to do and everything, and to have fun, and and like I say, bust his butt day in and day out.
Yeah.
Make sure he had a good match.
I mean, I did my best, just like anybody.
But getting back to our match was that we was, he had his aunt and mom and dad.
I had a whole crew there.
And, his aunt was right there at ringside taking pictures, and I jumped out the ring and pulled him towards the post. I said, make sure you get a picture of this, So it was very interesting, and, I was just glad that I still had a job and everything. I'm glad they didn't hold it against me, but we became the best of friends.
Good brothers.
On the job and in the ring, and his grandpa became a really good friend,
yeah,
not just working for the company, helping him out at his home. And, like I say, rest his soul.
God rest his soul too.
He was a very, very good person.
Yeah.
But, end up moving down to Florida.
Yeah, man, I went all over the place. Let's switch up gear. Let's switch up gears here real quick. I want to ask you a couple of questions. That way we can, kind of like, I like tooting my own horn a lot, but I want to talk a little bit about you and what got you into the business and what. You just said it. You started at 45. What was it? What was it that made you want to get into the business at such a late stage in life?
Well, I'm just going to start off the year 2000, where that a young lady that worked at the same company we all worked for your granddad,
mm-hmm.
She was going down to South Broadway Athletic Club, and before I met her, I was just channel hopping and would see this wide world and Big Daddy Wrestling on Charter Cable,
right?
And I will watch it, and that's when Wrestling at the Chase had went off the air,
right? And
they picked up where Wrestling at the Chase left off at.
Yep.
And for 2 years, I sat in the front row, booing,
mm-hmm.
cheering. And a wrestler by the name of Philly Blunt had saw me one evening, and he asked me, did I need a ride home? So he gave me a ride and invited him in, and we was talking, and he said, hey, man, you got some pretty nice size. Have you ever thought about wrestling?
Mm-hmm.
I looked at him, and I said, no, and he said, think about it. And I thought about it for 2.5 months. And I said to myself, I was an athlete coming up. I played the sports, football, baseball, mm-hmm. basketball, on the swimming team. I said, well, hell, why not? So I just went to the following match and talked to the promoter, Tony Costa, and he told me, you sure you want to do that? You sure?
Mm-hmm.
I said, yeah. And he said, come down to the gym Monday, at 4 o'clock. And I was there, and, he said, sign his waiver, but don't worry about it. You sure you want to do this? Yeah, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Is you looking to make a whole lot of money? I'm just looking to have fun,
Right.
He said, okay, just come with your sweatpants tomorrow. Don't worry about no pads. And we'll start then. And just started on the basic little bumps and everything. And that was in 2003 of October.
Yep.
And March of 2004, I had the first match. Unfortunately, it was against Philly Blunt, the guy that asked me about getting in the business.
Right.
And, you know, the rest is history.
Yeah.
I had a good career. You know, I was light heavyweight champ, tag team champ twice.
Yep.
Weight champ twice. You know, it was fun. And, you know, I wrestled for another organization also, UWA, and I was the light heavyweight champ at the time, and I was a tag team champion at the time. You know, so I had a good career, and like I say, basically it was in Missouri, Illinois, because, you know, I didn't wish to go to Tennessee, Kentucky, Wisconsin, and none of those places, and Iowa, you know, because, you know, I was, I had a 7 to 3:30 job, you know, and that was the bread and butter. I mean, you know, but it was very. I had fun, met a lot of people, you know, and still meeting people because I'm not wrestling, even though I started refereeing, and me and a young man couldn't get along when I was refereeing by the name of Cayman. So he demanded a match and everything, and it was a coffin match back in February of 19.
I remember that.
It was a sold-out crowd, standing room only and everything, and unfortunately, he put me in the coffin and laid me to rest, but you know, I still referee, you know, now.
You know, there's a... You know, go ahead.
Go ahead.
There's a... I was going to say there's a funny parallel for my career and your career that I don't know if you noticed, that you were just saying that Philly was the one that introduced you.
Yeah.
And Philly was your first opponent.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is you introduced me, but you also introduced me to Philly, and then Philly was my first opponent and you were my second.
Right.
That little bit of a parallel where we got punished by the same guy. Yeah, we got beat up our first match by the same guy. So that's a funny parallel how we both ran, and we kind of ran in the same lane, but right next to each other, but at different times.
And you know, in professional wrestling, like I say, you know, for those who is in the business, and for those who come and watch it, you know, there's fans that go to 4-5 different organizations to watch these shows, and that's in the Missouri and Illinois also. Yeah. You know, so you got fans that love professional wrestling. You know, they travel to Cottage Hills, Illinois, Granite City, Bethalto, Alton, you know, East Quantinet, Illinois, DuPont, Columbia, Waterloo, Swansea.
Yeah, man, there's a lot of wrestling in this area.
You know, they just love wrestling, and you know, they go to multi promotions.
Yeah,
but you know, it's I talk to the wrestlers now, and they everybody is getting fidgy because they want this here pandemic to be over with so they can get back to doing what they love to do and entertain people, you know. But in my eyesight, you know, it's, you know, some people are shooting for August, September. You know, I just prepared myself for 2021.
Yeah. I mean, you just, I mean, especially with this whole thing going on right now, you don't know. I mean, me, I mean, like, I'm not in the business anymore, but I mean, you know, I'd like to see, you know, cause I got a lot of friends still in the business, you know, and I see them, and a lot of the guys that I know, you know, not even just the Missouri guys, but a lot of the people I know in general, it's what they do for their career, you know, like their livelihood is professional wrestling, and that's how they make their livelihood. So to see these guys have to sit home, man, it breaks my heart watching them, because there's no unemployment line for pro wrestlers,
And it's like I say, that's a lot. You got young men and young women
mm-hmm.
that travel 3-4 times a week.
Yeah,
not 4 to 5.
Yeah,
and even if they're not going far out of town, they will be booked at one promotion and ask a promoter if there's any way that can be last, because they was at another promotion on the same evening, and they'll go early at that promotion, and soon as
mm-hmm.
they match over with, they go and drive 45 an hour and a half to the next one and be on the main event.
Oh yeah, man.
That's the dedication that the young men and women is doing to fulfill their dreams.
Yeah, there was plenty of times where I did double and triple shots in days, and where I'd wrestle like 4 or 5, 6 times just over the course of a weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and have 6 matches over the course of over a 3-day weekend. There's a bunch of times that I did that.
That's dedication, and that's also, putting your body through the test, and that's what, being in shape.
Yeah.
And praying to God that you walk in and you walk out the same way you walk in.
Yeah, I mean,
and like I say, I just tip my hat off to all the workers, the referees, the commissioners,
mm-hmm.
The managers, the valets, whatever the case may be. They are working hard to put on a good show for the fans.
Yeah, they do. What do you think? No, just to ask another question. I got a lot of I got a lot of people that watch my shows, and some of them are really really hardcore pro wrestling fans. So what do you think? Do you watch much of the business today? The AEW and the TNAs and your Ring of Honors and your WWEs and stuff. Do you watch any of that stuff today?
I would channel, just see what match will be on, and I go away. And with this pandemic, I don't watch the no audience, because that's like we was training down at your training facility.
Right.
And if the WWE will come to St. Louis, Missouri, me and my kids and my wife will be there. I was hoping to catch the AEW,
yeah,
but that was going to be at the Schaefer's, but the pandemic shot that down. Man. So, I would go and watch it live, and I would just flip the TV just to see who wrestling. I don't sit no more and watch the 4, 2, 3 hours of Raw and SmackDown.
It's just too hard, man. It's hard to sit down for 3 hours and watch that much.
I will go and watch it live, but I'll be channel hopping, watching different stuff.
Right. It's like me. Like I've told people, like I don't sit down and watch the full shows anymore. I'll have a guy, and I'll be like, I'm really interested in the Bray Wyatt Fiend character. So anytime that he has something on TV or anything like that, I'll watch that, or I'll go back and watch the clips on YouTube, or I'll go back and watch the actual segment on replay or something like that. But as for like sitting down and watching the whole entire show and watching every angle and stuff, I don't. With all the stuff that I do nowadays, between my full-time job, the podcasting, and online selling and all that stuff, I don't have a whole lot of time to sit down and watch a lot of TV.
And and
so I just watch what I watch the things that I like and I want to see, or if somebody says, hey Jaysin, check this out, watch this, see what you think about it, and then I'll watch that. But other than that, like, I don't actually sit down and watch any of the shows anymore for the most part.
What I was, I referee for 4 or 5 different organizations, and this past March the 7th was Epic Pro Wrestling, and Lenny Mastifo was the promoter and everything, and that was his organization. We was at the Franklin Lodge over in Alton, Illinois, and he had brung Jazz in to wrestle against Jaysin, formerly known as the Little Blue Dragon.
Yeah.
And that was the main event, and I got to referee that, but I refereed 5 matches that evening, and it was tag team championship. It was the main matches. But getting back to Jazz and Jaysin, that was the main event. Just talking to Jazz is a true professional, and she's awesome. If she wasn't high on her horses, she was down to earth young lady. And the reason why I'm saying young lady, because I'm older than a lot of these, workers and referees and everything. And
you old as dirt, man.
Yes, I am. And, like I said, I don't mind. I just turned 62 May the 3rd. And, I get up there and referee those matches and be right there and get down with them. But that was the epic match. And Jaysin defeated Jazz. And I can just say it was a hell of a match. And it was an emotional match because the young lady, Jaysin, she works so hard. She travels. She goes to Canada. She go all out of town to wrestle and everything.
Yep.
And she's young, and she put a lot of work in. But Lenny had said that, Chef, you was my senior referee and everything, and he appreciated me, and he let me plug my podcast show and everything.
Yeah.
And then I also referee for American Championship Wrestling. That's the Searchers. He is the promoter, and I was referee for WOE Wrestling Over Everything, and that was the landlord. I was refereeing for him, and then Illinois Hardcore Wrestling, that was the Stifo Hardcore organization, and, I referee for him, and WPW wants me to referee for him, but I referee for RCW. So I there's a lot of stuff on the plate, but I just want to mention that there's another promotion that's going to kick up whenever this is over with, and they can get back to wrestling and get back to having a nice crowd, to witness this, because it don't make sense for the organization to try to put on a show where that the CDC is going to tell you that you can only have 50 people, and for you to pay for the venue that you finna have your show in, it really don't make sense, and then you have to pay your wrestlers.
Yeah.
So, that's why I'm looking for 21, that hopefully everything is just blow back open, that you can have the 300, 400, 500, 600 people.
Yeah.
in a venue to witness professional wrestling.
Yeah, that's something I'll say. A lot of people don't know, but in Midwest wrestling, you know, I encompass the Midwest of being, you know, like the Missouri and Illinois. Besides those places, I'll kid you not, you guys listening to this podcast today, the Midwest wrestling scene, almost every single show you go to, whether it's the smallest or the biggest one in the area, they always have big crowds, anywhere from 100 to 500 in almost every show. I remember shows at Broadway, and Broadway's, you know, I wouldn't say it was probably the bigger one, the longest running one in the area, but they would have days on shows where it would be assholes to elbows in there, you know, where like everybody's standing shoulder to shoulder, and that's crazy.
When I was wrestling, I witnessed a lot of standing room only down there, and I definitely witnessed that when Cayman and myself had that coffin match. You know, that it was just standing room only people. You know, and I'm just, you know, if there was any criminals that was in that building, and that was pickpockets, you know, that's how crowded
they would have made off like gangbusters, right?
They would have had Christmas for 2 years.
Yeah,
that's how crowded and people was enjoying. And like I say, people is bumping into people trying to go to the restroom, go to the concession stand, go to the bar. So ain't no telling, you know, that's just me, you know, you know, it was just amazing that, you know, I was on shows where it was elbow to elbow and everybody enjoyed themselves.
Yeah.
But, you know, what I was saying about a new promotion starting up, I had talked to several young men on a conference call, and they finna form Illinois Elite Wrestling.
Okay.
And they asked me, they say, Chef, we want you to be on board. You can referee, you can wrestle, you can be a manager, or you can be a general manager, but we want you on board. And I took the general manager.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking forward to working with Illinois Elite Wrestlers, but the main organization is the MMWA, and I'm a referee.
Home crew, man.
You know, that is the number one uno. And what I liked about these young men, they know where my heart is at MMWA, and they are working around that.
Oh, that's good.
So, you know, I still be refereeing, but I'll be the general manager for Illinois Elite, and I will try to do the best of my ability at what I do, and that's entertain and have fun. Well, you know, and a lot of those guys know me, and I know them, and I respect them, and they respect me, and it's just looking forward working with them when this is over with.
Well, I mean, you had a good teacher, and you got you know, pretty side by side with, you know, with boss man Tony Costa, God rest his soul. You know, so you had to take up the mantle of a general manager spot. You had a, you know, you had a good teacher to learn the back end of pro wrestling, not just the in-ring stuff, but the backside of, you know, the booking side of it by Tony. So let's talk a little bit about Tony. I mean, you know, you got pretty impressionable with Tony. You know, he helped you out along the way. And what is some of the biggest, you know, biggest things that you can, you know, I know Tony well. I know Tony well, but I didn't know him as well as you knew him. So I want to kind of talk about Tony and, the legacy that he had in Missouri and in the St. Louis area, and some of the stuff that you learned from him.
First of all, I did a special segment when I was down at South Broadway Athletic Club, but I'm going to say it again. Tony Costa opened up 2 doors for me. He opened up 2 doors. He opened up the wrestling door.
Yep.
And he opened up his home door to me.
Mm-hmm.
And, moved upstairs, and he was my promoter and he was the landlord.
Right.
So, and that we got really close upstairs, downstairs, and like I say, he would barbecue, we would go downstairs, celebrate Christmas and everything, and him and his wife was
wonderful lady, by the way, Wanda
was Meemaw and Peepaw, and that's what our daughter Brooke had called him when she was a little girl. Peepaw, Meemaw. So we started saying Meemaw and Peepaw, and a lot of people, Meemaw, Peepaw, that's what we call. And a lot of people knew that, and a lot of people spoke on that, at his service. John Castaldi, Tony Costa, Little Dynamite, it was his rapper name, and also Peepaw, But, he was a very caring man, him and his wife, and just to let you know, MMWA is going to continue on because his nephew, Lil Tony, is going to be the promoter, matchmaker. And
okay, that was going to be one of my other questions that I had.
Yes, and Wanda is still in charge. It's Wanda, Lil Tony.
Wanda was always in charge. Tony might have been the promoter, but Wanda was in charge.
Yes.
She was in charge.
And then you got and I'm just going to say it, the supporting cast, the wrestlers and the referees and everything, and the timekeeper, the ring announcer. So you still got the people that's in place that going to carry this legacy of MMWA, Mid-Missouri Wrestling Alliance going, but getting back to Tony, he was in the business over 40 plus years, and, he did it, he done it, he was a member down at the South Broadway Athletic Club. He had the title of president, vice president, treasurer, secretary. He was on the board. So he, over that career down at the historic South Broadway Athletic Club, he was in numerous positions down there. And, but getting back to Tony being the landlord and everything, we was upstairs, they was downstairs, and they would call and say, I'm finna barbecue some steaks and everything. What time will it be ready?
Yeah.
So we was down there, and we was just like
family
kids and
family kids.
Yeah. Cam, she's still there. Brooke and Aaliyah's still there. Yeah. I still go over there to visit and everything, and still talk to Wanda and Meemaw. We gonna be all right. We gonna continue to do what we doing.
Yeah.
So
I remember when I first got started, I was a baby face, and I think I felt
a baby face.
I felt that my baby face run had ran its course, and I was kind of like floundering and not really doing anything. And I remember when I walked up to Tony, and I go, Tony, I want to turn heel, and Tony goes, what? And I was just like, yeah, I think I'm floundering here, as a baby face. I don't think I'm really going anywhere, and I wanted to do more. And I felt in my heart that I could do more. And I felt the only way that I could do more was to go heal. And he goes, well, do you think you can do it? And I was just like, yeah, I think I can. And I go, I'm pretty sure I can. He goes, well, what's your idea? And I laid out my idea and my plan and everything like that I had for him. At that time, I was feuding with Espinosa a lot, and then Espinosa and then Hawkins. I was feuding with those guys, going back and forth. And Espinosa was getting ready to bounce up to the heavyweight area, and I was still in the light heavyweight area. So I was just like, I go with Espinosa leaving, not leaving, but moving up to the heavyweight area. I go, that's going to leave a heel void in the light heavyweight division. I go, let me take that mantle. I go, I think I can do it, and I think I can do some good work there. And he goes, okay. He goes, if you think you can do it, let's try it out. Let's see how it works. And I remember month after month after month, it was just, he pretty much let me do what I wanted to do. And he goes, this is your opponent. Do what you want to do. This is who's winning. And he put forth the trust in me to get myself over as the bad guy, even if they didn't understand the angle that I was playing, I was, I kind of lost my mind doing the whole crazy gimmick stuff. And I think overall, by the time that I ended and, ended up leaving, I think that the bad guy gimmick, the crazy guy gimmick, I think that ended up working with people because people started they ended up started booing me because at one point I wouldn't say I was the biggest baby face, but I was a pretty big baby face because, everybody loved me. I hung out with the fans. I sat out in the crowd with the fans, and talked to them and, did the whole baby face thing, and people really liked me. So to get myself to the point of where my friends and friends and people that respected me actually would boo me and hated me, I think that was a good accomplishment. And I'm glad that Tony gave me that room and that leeway to try new things and do new things, even though it probably wasn't, what he would have done for me.
And when you said that, you went to him and asked him, could you turn heel? But he came up to me and said, guess what? You finna turn heel, Chef. And I was like, wow, really?
Yeah.
And, because I was babyface for so many years, loved out there. And even when I turned heel, they were still cheering me. Some of them were saying, Chef, you traitor, but I worked it. I hooked up with Travis the cook, so that went over very well. And I'm going to just tell you about when I had turned heel and I was just doing things after the match. And Tony got up in the ring and said, look here, let me tell you something. And what you gonna tell me, old man? And he handed the microphone to Ben Simon and popped me across the top of my head and leaped up on me and gave me the headset.
Yeah, the headset. I remember that.
And he flipped me down, and just to let people know, he was 70 years old when he did that.
Yeah, a 70-year-old man. Chef, you're what? 5'9", 6 foot area.
Yeah,
about 6 foot. And Tony was a small guy. Like 5'4", 5'5", somewhere around there. Like he was a small guy.
Yeah. And so when he did that, I flopped out. I went out the ring, and he made this announcement. Travis Cook, you and Shaft is going to take on Keith Smith and myself over in East Carondelet, Illinois.
I remember that.
And
that pop, that crowd popped big time.
And they went ballistic down there. So
Yeah.
The following week, the match, and me and Travis Cook came out first. They booed the hell out of us. And when Lil Dynamite and Keith Smith came out with they glitter jackets,
glitter jackets, yeah.
You know, they went nuts. And even though I put Lil Dynamite in the brown hook and he had to be helped up out the ring, and me and Travis started working on Keith, and Travis got up on the second rope and jumped down. And instead of hitting Keith, he hit me and knocked me down. Then Keith got him and pinned him 1, 2, 3, and we ended up losing. You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, my last years of in the business, it was being a heel.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I had some big bouts down there. And I had a leather strap match that the young Aladdin regained his light heavyweight championship belt.
Yep.
You know, touching the four corners. That was a historic match.
Yeah.
Philly Blunt and myself was won the belts from the Lumberjack, the tag team belts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was another highlight. And Philly Blunt and myself was against Cayman and Jimmy D in a no disqualification hardcore match where there was high pads, cookie sheet, and everything was used in there, getting popped upside the head and everything, you know, and me winning the heavyweight championship from Jeremy Lightfoot for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and the biggest one that I really believe was my greatest match down there was that coffin match with Cayman.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Philly Blunt had a feud going when we was tag team champions. He turned on me, hit me in the head with the tag team belt, and me and him had a match, his half versus my half, and I ended up winning. So I was tag team champ for about 3 months, wrestling by myself, picking a partner and everything. But that biggest match was the coffin match down there at South Broadway, and I was in a cage match over in East Carondelet with Philly Blunt, and we was it was Davon and Keith Smith Sr.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was good matches. You know, I didn't do a lot of crazy stuff. You know, thank God. But you know,
basic old school wrestling, man. You don't have to do all the super flashy stuff if you know how to work the crowd.
And you know, basic wrestling will soothe the average wrestling fan, because you know, move for move and stuff like that, they will pop on that no matter what. You don't need to do no 1.5, no shooting star. Yes, that looks good, but that's high risk move that can end your career.
Yeah,
you know,
it takes a lot off your bump card too.
And you know, I tell a lot of young men and young women, you know, in these different promotions, you know, hey, be safe. You have to, you know, I know some of you, this is your job, and I know some of you have a 9 to 5, but be safe so you can go make that real money.
Right.
You know.
I think that's one of the biggest issues in wrestling right now. Just in my personal opinion, is people just it seems like guys are you know turning it up to 900, you know, when they don't really need to turn it up to 900 because they're like, you know, you hear about guys, you know, constantly getting hurt. You know, there's a laundry list of guys that are hurt in the industry right now, and it's just like, if you guys just get back down to the basics, you know, like the fans are they might get a little mad that it's just basic, but if you stick with your core basics and you work off of those and the core fundamentals of wrestling, you know, you're always going to have a great match if you stick with those core fundamentals.
You know, I'm just going to say this, you know, 1968, you know, I'm watching Wrestling at the Chase. You know, George Abel was the commentary, yep, and Gene Kiniski was the heavyweight champion. But I'm just going to say that's why Harley Race, Ric Flair, Sting, Hulk Hogan, you know, those guys, Pat O'Connor, Luthez, you know.
That's why they had long careers.
That's why they had long careers, because they wasn't worried about jumping off. You know, when Harley Race first did the suplex, everybody was like, wow, bam. You know, that was a power move. 1, 2, 3. You know, it's certain bumps that you can take that people say, wow, ooh, ah, and everything. But you don't have to do the 360s, you know, the moonsault,
the head bumps, and all that stuff.
You know, jumping off the top of the cage and falling. There's no need for that. You know, you know, I hear different people try to talk about ECW and everything, you know, when they were using fluorescent light, kendo stick chairs and thumbtacks and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
You're doing that in wrestling, you know. So if you pick a guy up and body slam him on thumbtacks and everything and on a barbed wire, basically anybody can do that. But to get in there to do the holds, the reverses, you know, the arm drags and stuff like that, drop toe hold, you know, the art of wrestling.
Yeah.
They didn't got away from that.
Yeah. I've always said, one of the things that people on my shows heard me say a lot is, you know, I want people to realize that some of the biggest names in the industry that's ever been in the industry, you know, down to your Harley Races, to your Ric Flairs and your Hogans and your Rocks and your Stone Colds and stuff like that. All of those guys got over with character.
Mm-hmm.
They got over with character and having charisma and something that made you click. Some of them were really good wrestlers. Some of them barely wrestled at all. But some of the biggest names in the business are the biggest names in the business because of the character. So one thing that I always tell people, if you work on your character, most of all, your character work should be the most important thing. If I could say to any young guy coming up, you know, work on your character, develop your character, know the ins and outs of your character. You know, hell, make a backstory of your character. You know, like it was a comic book. You know, make a backstory up. That way, you always have stuff to build on, and people that can relate, and people can relate to it. And you won't box yourself into a little box and be, oh, well, you're that flippy guy, or oh, you're that hardcore guy, or you know, you're just this, you know, guy that does cool moves. They will end up liking you for liking you, not for what you do. And in turn, that makes you a lot more safer.
You know, I left out one wrestler on the longevity that didn't do, you know, it was Dusty Rhodes, you know.
Yeah.
He would get a pop when he'll twirl his hands in front, do the elbow, boom, punch and everything, the crowd would get into it. Boom, boom. It's certain things you can do to get the fans to react.
Yeah.
Like Sting, he would throw people in the corner, and run from one end of the corner and jump up in there and do the Stinger splash.
Yeah.
It's just certain common moves that people pops on.
Yeah.
And, like I said, Hulk Hogan, what do you do? Body slam,
Big boot, body slam, clothesline, big boot.
Shake his hands and arms, and then when he hit him, then he just point, woo. And then what he do? Body slam, run, leg drop.
Yeah.
They once he starts shaking and like they get into it. Ric Flair, they whip him in the corner,
flip over and over,
and flip.
Yep.
He'll flip and go on the outside and get up on the turn, on the top turnbuckle and come down. Bam. It's certain stuff that's simple and easy that you really don't have to worry about your knee blowing out.
Yeah.
And like I say, these guys with these neck injuries, the knee injuries, cause they doing a lot of acrobatics,
Yeah. I just think there's a time and a place, like, going back to the hardcore stuff with the light tubes and stuff and jumping off the cages. I think there's a time and place for it, but like there's instances and cases where they're doing this stuff every single show. And it's just like, you guys are killing yourself for not much give back. Like, would you rather have a long career and be able to build a big base behind you, or to have a really cool, fast, short career?
And it's just like when Brock Lesnar, I think it was in a WrestleMania, and he called himself trying to do a shooting star and almost broke his neck.
Yeah.
Because, for one, he planted the wrestler
too far away. Yeah.
Too far away. And instead of, I won't be able to do this, but he get up there anyway and almost broke his neck.
Yeah.
It's just certain stuff that, is good, but you don't have to always do a lot of flips. And, I know time has changed. Time has changed in basically
in wrestling.
Everything.
Yeah.
And not just wrestling.
And everything.
Baseball, football, basketball. Back when, I'm just going to basketball, when the Detroit Pistons got their name the Bad Boys, when they'll knock you on your butt.
Oh, yeah.
When you're going up for a layup. But if you do that now, it's flagrant foul, ejection, and fine. Back, it's the same way in football,
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid growing up, first thing they say, kill the quarterback. All stuff.
Yeah.
Time has changed, and I know it's about money, but in wrestling, time has changed, and they are flipping and hurting themselves and be out for 6 months, 8 months because they want to do one crazy move that could cost them their career.
Yeah.
It's really not necessary, because when you're in the ring, when you're cheating, you can get the heat. Turn away from the referee, choke the man, hit the man in the throat, hit the man. You can do, it's numerous things that you can do that people is going to boo you, constantly hate you, because they're going to label you as a cheater.
Yeah.
And you're doing your job. It's still what I say, be safe, so when you walk in, you can walk back out.
Yeah, I mean, because there ain't nothing worse than to know that you hurt somebody. You know, like that's one of the worst feelings, especially if they get hurt bad. You know, a little bloody lip or a black eye or something like that. That's not too bad, but when you actually hurt somebody, man, there's not anything bigger in the world or anything worse in the world when it comes to wrestling, knowing that you were the reason that a guy might not be able to, go along with his dream anymore.
And when we talk about how stuff has changed from over the years, and I'm just gonna go to baseball, because I played that also. Is if you get in that batter's box and you jam in the plate, the pitcher's gonna give you one up under your chin and say, that plate is mine also. You can't hog it.
Right.
But nowadays, if you throw it if you do the brush back, both benches get one, and the next time the pitcher do it, you kicked out the game. So everything has changed, in sports and in wrestling, period. In football, you used to can grab the guy, and if he ain't going, then you can slam him. You can slam him to the grass, the turf. The receivers jump up in the air to try to catch the ball. You can pop them in midair. Now they say is a helpless defensive, player.
Right.
Things have changed. The money has changed. So I see what they tried to
accomplish.
Protect their product, whatever. But in professional wrestling, they not protecting the product because, they are doing these flips and jumping and breaking their legs, breaking their ankles, and breaking their necks and everything, and be laid up for 8 months. And, and just like Edge coming back, because he's supposed to have something wrong with his neck. The same way with Daniel Bryan. The slight mishap can paralyze.
Yeah, like when I seen Daniel Bryan come back, and he still came back with his same style, and he didn't change anything up. Like it's hard. Like I love watching Daniel Bryan work, but now it's hard for me to watch because every time he bumps, I'm so afraid that it's gonna be his last bump because. Like he's kind of reckless with his bumps, especially when he does those running drop kicks into the corner where, he kind of rolls out of it and he's rolling onto his neck or landing on his shoulders high. Like I cringe every time I see that because I'm like, man, like I know you want to work, but like hell, even Stone Cold did it. Like Stone Cold had a completely different style. Whenever Stone Cold broke his neck, he changed his style to fit it to where he could, work and be safe. Like Stone Cold before he broke his neck, he was a worker's worker. Like he was the Daniel Bryan type guy.
And I forgot who he was working that had broke his neck.
I believe it was Owen Hart.
I forgot who, but yes,
I believe it was Owen Hart.
It's certain, it's no matter what you do in life, no matter what you do in sports, there's always a risk, there's always danger.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
And it's just, we pray that they walk out on the field, walk up in the ring, same way in boxing, and to hear about when I think it was Ray Boom Boom Mancini went against Duco Kim, and he had put him in the coma and he died.
Yeah, it was like who was that guy? What was the gentleman's name? The Mexican dude that died with Rey Mysterio. Like it can go off of any move, but like. It's just one of those wrestling. A lot of people don't understand this. Wrestling is such a delicate a delicate craft and a delicate art, because you're not supposed to make it be physical and real. You're supposed to make it look like it's real, but not actually hurt people. You're not actually supposed to connect with people. And that I think that art is lost a lot in today's wrestling.
And like I say, we were talking about sport. Even like I say, when I was coming up, I was watching hockey and everything.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you the stuff that I did and the stuff that I watched and everything. To me, hockey is an underpaid sport.
Right. I agree.
You're going up and down on the ice with their hard rubber puck, which did knock several teeth out.
Oh yeah, those things hurt when you get hit with them too. I played hockey.
Then several broke nose. Getting hit with the stick accidentally. But the main thing is slide in front of that puck, and that puck is 100 miles an hour coming off that stick.
Oh yeah.
I said that for ever since I was 15 years old. And up to the day, they not getting paid enough for what they do, because, like I say, they can get paralyzed, they can get up on the boards, Unfortunately, back in the day, Ed Kia, St. Louis Blues, didn't have no helmet on and got hit in the board, head first, bam, concussion, bam, his career over with. It's unfortunately stuff happened, but yes, you can walk outside and twist your ankle and fall down your steps and hit your head and you're gone. It's just all a part of life and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think what guys need to understand these days is, granted, like times have changed, the styles have changed, and everything like that. And no matter what, like anything can happen. No matter, even if you're just doing a basic match, basic moves, like you can still get hurt. But I think if you want to have a longer career and a potential longer career, I think just guys need to tone it down just a tad, turn it down just a notch, and work more on characters. There's a lot of guys in the business right now that that have phenomenal characters. I don't know so many guys in the indie scene in the Midwest area anymore. I don't know a lot of the newer guys, so I can't speak on them, but guys like Lenny, Mephisto, I always thought his character work was great. I don't know if Brandon's still running. I thought his characters were always great. Johnny Courageous, I mean, hell, that guy, he was all character. And then there's even guys higher up, like Dalton Castle over in Ring of Honor. That's probably one of the best gimmicks in that company right now, and that's a company that's not filled with gimmick wrestlers. Like those are like pure wrestlers over there. And I think if guys focused more on character work, you'd see a lot of guys shoot up the ladder in a lot of different areas and get a lot more shots, because it's something more to me personally as a wrestling fan. I connect more with guys that have character than I do with guys that, are like the purebred wrestlers.
Yeah. It's like I said, I can't wait for it to open back up.
Yeah.
So I can see everybody and get back to getting booed for refereeing and everything. But it's better to be safe than to be sorry.
It is.
And in due time, everybody will be back.
Everybody will be back
doing shows. And, you know, but I just want to thank you because I'm going to have to get off. But, you know, I want to thank you for coming on.
Oh, you're welcome, my brother. Anytime.
The Jaysin Static experience, because it's been one hell of an experience to going back down
memory lane.
Buddy.
We'll have to get you in studio one day, man.
Yes, and you know, it's always a pleasure.
It is.
You know, to hear your voice and everything.
You too, brother.
You know, we go
way back.
It's 16 plus years, you know.
Yeah.
So,
do you want to plug your show and let everybody know where they can find your show at and whatnot?
Yes. It's Outside the Ring STL on Facebook, and it's on Thursdays from 5 until, you know, we're doing it from 5 to 6. But when we get back in the studio, it'll be back to 5 to 7.
Okay.
And, you know, and the call-in number would be 314-578-2479. And, you know, like I say, we talk about all of indie promotion all over the United States.
Okay.
So there's a young man, Y.T. Jones, who's running a promotion up in Anchorage, Alaska, and he's following Outside the Ring faithfully and posting stuff on our page. And there's a young lady named Yvonne Sieber. She's up in Washington State, and she got Compact Pro Wrestling.
Nice.
You know, we got a young man, Phoenix Kid in Baytown, Texas, that travels all over.
I think I've heard that name before. I think I've heard of him.
He went to Puerto Rico. He went to Mexico and everything. And we got a guy named Danny Cruz, who is down in Florida, who's running shows. We got a young man, Max Batelli, who's up in New Jersey. So, you know, we got a heck of a following and everything. And a young lady, Christina Rice, she's Kings and Queens magazine. She's down in Kentucky and Indiana and everything. And she also do shows. And she have brought in young men and young women to different cities and, you know, got them booked and everything. So Outside the Ring STL make a lot of noise and everything, a lot of promotion post-day wrestling shows on our page.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I say, you know, we talk about the independent scene and the guys and the young women, if they want to travel, you know, they can look on our page and look at some of these companies and contact and say, hey, you know, I charge blase. I would like to come in and show you my talent. And it's up to the promoter to say, well,
right.
You want this, why not? Can we compromise on that? You know, but if people want to work, go on Outside the Ring STL page and scroll up. You'll see a whole bunch of independent organizations all over. Like I say, Wisconsin, Indiana, Kentucky, you know, Chicago,
Alaska. Yep.
Yeah, Alaska and Washington State.
So, go ahead.
You know, like I say, Jaysin Static, the only thing that I didn't like about you was that damn spike that you use 2-3 cans to make that stuff hard to stick up like you're a porcupine. Hey man, I was just working my character. Yes, that was one hell of a character.
I was I had a good time talking with you, brother. Maybe one day when we can link up schedules and I can pop over on your show, maybe come up to the studio when your studio opens back up and come in and talk some stuff with you back over on your side. But man, I want to thank you. I don't think I've ever said this straight out or in public, but you know, I appreciate you for everything that you did for me and helping me get my foot in the business of wrestling and everything like that. Because like I said previously, you were one of the many guys that, helped me get into the business. And without you guys that helped me and helped guide me, there wouldn't be me today, and I wouldn't be out doing the stuff that I'm doing today. And I just want to thank you guys. I want to thank you for stopping by and talking with me, man. I appreciate you.
And I'm just going to tell everybody, this won't be the last time I'll be on the Jaysin Static Experience.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, it was one hell of an experience. And, hey, let's keep the experience going on.
All right, man, brother. I appreciate you. Love you, brother.
All right. Love you too, man.
Man, take it easy. Bye.
All right. Talk to you later.
So, everybody, that was my little chat with the one and only Shaft, the man who got me into professional wrestling. You heard it here. We had a long talk about wrestling and all kinds of wrestling and, everything like that. One thing that I can say is I have the biggest amount of respect for that man. Like I said, without him and a couple other people there guiding the way for me, there would be no Jaysin Static. So a lot of you guys that know me now and knew me through YouTube and through Facebook and social media and the wrestling and everything else, a lot of you guys probably wouldn't know me if it wasn't for gentlemen like Shaft and a couple other people. So I want to thank you guys for stopping by on this show, on this episode of the Jaysin Static Experience. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And I thank you guys for stopping by. And until the next one, peace. Much love, everybody. Take care.